See, I don't even think that's enough. I think I need to, oh, my shoulders.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hi, it's Heidi and Courtney, and we're here to talk about serving sizes. We just kind of wanted to talk about this because there is a lot of guessing that might go on in your MyFitnessPal document. I don't know what we're trying to
Daily tracking.
Tracking, yeah.
Yes.
And so we kind of wanted to just talk about different tools that we can use to measure serving sizes, but also what to do to kind of like maybe bust through a plateau if you're stuck, because a lot of times it could be just
some unaccounted calories that are sneaking their way in there without even really knowing.
Right. Have in your home measuring cups, obviously, is a good tool, measuring spoons, and kitchen scales. Now, but we are going to talk about how the scale could be a handy tool to help us.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just going to pour myself a bowl of Honey Nut Cheerios. Okay? Now, if I was having a bowl of cereal, this is what I'd have. I love cereal. To look at this, so 1 cup is 37 grams, and that's a serving. That would be 140 calories. Perfect. So I'm gonna weigh it now because I already zeroed out my bowl, so I have the weight of that. My bowl of cereal is 88 grams. So that is over double the serving size. Now I can eat this.
100%.
But I need to track it. And if you don't really pay attention to the serving sizes, it can kind of get a little bit tricky.
All right, so we've got our...
So 2 tablespoons, it shows here 35 grams.
So we're looking at, it's a pretty good estimate.
Oh,
so
good.
Serving size is about 33 grams. So there's a little bit of a variance there. But when you're not really necessarily paying attention to, again, either that scale weight or that measuring spoon, you could be either under eating, so you're underestimating those calories, or you could be overeating those calories. So again, it's just a tip.
And I think because peanut butter is so high in fat too, that adds up the calories. Remember, there's 9 calories per gram of fat. So that kind of adds up a little bit more quickly.
Yeah.
Let's talk about another one that people might not even think about is oil. Like, so when you're cooking, you might not really pay attention to how much oil you're using in the pan, and that does add up because it is so high in fat. It's not bad to use cooking oil, but knowing what you're using is helpful.
In the past, you just kind of like eyeball, so you're pouring it in there. You kind of get it all like
cover the pan.
So a serving size is about 15 milliliters or 1 tablespoon. And right now, with what I put in the pan, we're at about 21 milliliters. Showing you that there's a little bit of that variance in calories, especially looking at, again, such a high caloric item. You really want to make sure that either you're grabbing that measuring spoon or you're grabbing that scale.
Cheese is another thing that is easy to under or overestimate. So if we want a serving of cheese, now this cheese here, it shows 110 calories, is approximately 28 grams. That's 1 ounce. 28 grams is 1 ounce. So if we're going to weigh it out, perfect. This is it. So if you're making a pizza and you're like piling on the cheese, this is not a lot of cheese. Back and talk about one more thing that people don't think about when they're tracking. And a lot of that is the food that you eat while you're cooking, or the extra food that's on your kids' plates that you're not tracking.
Those like little nibbles.
Yeah, those add up.
I think it's that human nature thing.
It's not an accident. It's a snack.
It's a
Bye.
I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the Glute Ham Machine. This is one of the most underrated, underutilized, most hated machines that we have. So one of the things that I love about the Glute Ham Machine is that I would say that our movement is similar to that of an RDL, right? And so when we do RDLs, one of the things that we focus on as coaches is number 1, foot positioning, right? We want to make sure that your feet are straight down from your hips, okay? You're pushing through your toes, your knees are soft, but the biggest thing is your hinge from your hip, okay? You can see that I'm keeping a straight back so that I hinge from my hips. One of the things that we see people do a lot is they're hinging from their lower back. There's a huge difference between hinging from your hips and hinging from your lower back. So when you do RDLs, if you don't feel like you're hinging from your hips and you notice some lower back pain after doing RDLs, a lot of that is, it could be number 1 because of weakness, right? Because a lot of times we try to lift too heavy when we shouldn't be and we don't have that movement corrected. And then number 2 is just our hip hinge. So this machine allows us to hinge from our hips a little bit more. Are on this, you want to make sure that this pad is well below your hip bones, okay? So what happens is if it's up too high, then it's going to rub right on your hips and it's going to hurt. We want it to just kind of sit right between your hip bones, right, and your crotch. Is that what I can say? Is that okay to say that?
Sure, that's acceptable.
Okay, so we want it to be just about right here so that it allows for the hip hinge, okay? And what this machine does is it's going to allow us to lengthen our hamstrings while pushing our hinge into our hips, but then really allowing us to utilize our hamstrings and our glutes to pull ourselves back up. Make sense? Okay, I'm gonna show you guys the wrong way to do it and what we see the most. So when you climb onto this machine, again, you can see that it's sitting about between my hips and my crotch, okay? My groin, my crotch, okay. All right, so what we see a lot, don't use weights on this one. So you wanna have your feet all the way back, driving through your heels and your big toe, okay? What we see a lot is people use their momentum on this, okay? So they go down, they swing up. They go down, they swing up. And when you do that, you're not pushing any of the work into your muscles, right? You're just using momentum. So what I want you to think about is I want you to think about dropping, okay? Even stopping at the bottom, and then I want you to think about slowly coming up, squeezing your butt, and feeling your glutes squeeze, and then your hamstrings shorten. So you want to think of them as like a long string into a short string, long string into a short string. So they're long, and as I pull up, squeeze, now I'm shortening, okay? Makes sense? So you want to knock out even 10 of these is both, number one, I'm going to push the hinge into your hips, right? Because I have no other way to go. I have no way to hinge from my back. It's just not possible, okay? And then I want you to think about strengthening, squeezing, shortening the hamstrings, okay?
Hey guys, it's Coach Sabrina here to talk about our supplement for the week. This week we're going to talk about vitamin D, what it is, and why we need it. So let's dive right in. Vitamin D. Well, vitamin D is fat soluble, which means that it dissolves in fats and oils and can be found in fatty fish, egg yolks, and dairy products. Our main source of vitamin D is from the sun. The amount of vitamin D our skin makes depends on many factors. This includes the time of day, season, and our skin pigmentation. Vitamin D might decrease or be completely absent during the winter months. And lastly, vitamin D is needed to build and maintain healthy bones. What happens if we don't get enough vitamin D? So I'm going to throw some big words at you here and explain what could happen if we don't get enough vitamin D. So osteomalacia, this happens in teens and adults, and rickets in children. These are direct result of vitamin D deficiency. In both conditions, bones become weak, soft, or deformed. Osteoporosis and osteopenia. These involve the loss of bone density and age, vitamin D deficiency, poor intake of calcium, and the lack of weight-bearing exercise can all contribute to weak bones. What else can happen is that you can get a bone fracture. So not enough vitamin D can result our bones to be very weak and frail, which can result in bone fractures. And then our reduced absorption of dietary calcium, low vitamin D levels can make it difficult to absorb calcium from the foods we eat. This can result in low calcium level in the body. Sun can brighten your mood. So can vitamin D. Eating food that is rich in vitamin D, taking dietary supplements to improve vitamin D deficiency, and spending time in the sunshine and or exercising outdoors may improve our mental health, well-being in people with depression. That's a plus. It can help with our bones. Vitamin D helps our body absorb calcium. It could also lower the risk of tooth decay, cavities, and gum disease. Who doesn't want nice teeth, right? It can also support the immune system by fighting off harmful bacteria and viruses, which with COVID, we all need that right now. Along with its bone building abilities, vitamin D is also influential in strengthening muscles. Lack of vitamin D in the body can increase the risk of having weak muscles, which in turn increases the risk of falls. So that is why it's important to consume vitamin D and to continue to exercise and build muscle strength as well. Vitamin D promotes the absorption of calcium in your gut, which ultimately allows for normal mineralization of your bones. You need vitamin D for bone growth and to prevent bones from becoming brittle. When teamed with calcium, it can prevent osteoporosis. Our recommended daily intakes of vitamin D. Despite being readily available through sunlight, some foods, and supplementation, many people are still getting inadequate amounts of vitamin D. Daily intake for vitamin D for adults up to 70 years, if you look at the third line there, it's 600 international units per day.